Ryan, are you ready? Okay. We'll call to order this meeting of the Valley Center Planning and Zoning Board for Tuesday, July 26th. For those who are willing and able, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, roll call, please.
Gary Jansen.
Here.
Paul Springer.
Here.
Brian Shelton.
Here.
Rick Schellenberger.
Here.
Scott Phillips.
Here.
Steve Conway.
Here.
Toby Meadows.
Thank you. Assuming everybody had a chance to look at the agenda for tonight's meeting, are there any questions, concerns, additions for the agenda? If not, I would move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
A motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the draft minutes of the June 28th meeting. Anything to add for the draft minutes? I'd make a motion we approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
The motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any communications, Ryan? We have two items, public hearing items tonight. So anybody who's here for a specific item on our agenda, there'll be an opportunity when we will open up the public hearing. And I'll ask at that point if there's anybody who would like to speak on an item. You're welcome to come. Please come to the podium, provide your name and address at that point. You have 5 minutes to speak on that item, but I'll make it very clear at that point in time for any particular item. So first item is review of SD 2022-02 application of the City of Valley Center pursuant to City Code 1604, who is petitioning for approval of a preliminary plat for land located south of the intersection of Ford and Dexter. Ryan, please.
Well, good evening, everyone. It doesn't happen very often, but sometimes the city itself is the applicant on a project. And this is the case. This is for the Ford Street property, again, located south of Ford Street, at the intersection of Ford Street and Dexter Avenue. This property was acquired by the city a number of years ago and was part of the improvements made to Meridian in order to address stormwater and flooding issues. So on this property, we have currently it is a vacant piece of property. The plat includes 2 lots as they stand right now. And on one of the lots, there is a large dry detention pond. This helps filter off the stormwater when there are significant rain events. And so as part of this plat, we do have, again, the creation of some lots and then some reserve areas. This is the preliminary plat. And so with the preliminary plat, this gives the board a chance to review this to get an idea of what this plat is going to look like with final platting. So the northern section of this, what's now designated as Block A, lots 1 and 2, those are to be commercial developments. Again, the city has signed purchase agreements for most of this property already with Casado McKay as well as the Crane Company. So Casado McKay is looking to develop 2 commercially zoned lots, and what you see here on the north side, so on either side of the street coming to the south of Ford. And so, again, purchase agreements have been signed and approved by City Council for Casado McKay, and then the property to the south is the Crane Company. This is where the 3D printed concrete duplexes and garages are scheduled to be built. So this page here that's highlighted on the screen provides a rough configuration of what these are the roof lines. And so this provides you an idea of what they're looking to build. And again, this area, of course, to the south would be rezoned to R4, our new high-density multiple family residential district. What we're doing tonight, again, is just approval of the preliminary plat, the final plat application, as well as the rezoning application to rezone this land, respectively C2 as well as R4. That will come at the August board meeting. So just a preview, that's what we'll be reviewing at the August board meeting is the final plat, as well as that rezoning application. But again, we have the creation of a few new streets and then the 2 new lots to the north, as well as 5 to the south with some reserve areas. A couple of the reserves will be retained in ownership by the City of Valley Center. Again, that's for the dry detention as well as the open drainage canal. That way we can maintain that as part of our overall city stormwater infrastructure. And so 2 of the reserves will be retained in ownership, and the others sold to Crane Company. So that's where we stand at this point. Again, this has been reviewed by the city staff review team. We are recommending approval of this preliminary plat, and as well as planning on reviewing the final plat at the August 23rd, 2022 Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Just to review how platting works is that once final plat approval is granted by you as the Planning and Zoning Board, this also goes before City Council for final approval. Once final council grants final approval to the final plat, it is then recorded with the Sedgwick County Register of Deeds office. So we're at the initial stage of the preliminary plat, and then we'll do the final plat and then official recording with the county. Stand for any questions. I will, along with myself representing the city, we also have City Administrator Clark, and then the engineer with SEH, Jake Basha, is with us as well to answer any questions you may have regarding this preliminary plat, and would invite them to speak if they wish to do so during the public hearing.
Thank you, Ryan. Any questions from the board at this point? I've got a question. You know what? We might go ahead and open up the public hearing at 7:06, but I do want to ask a question before I ask if there's anybody who'd like to speak on this. Brent, if you expand or zoom in on that view right there where that says alleyway. I was curious. That just caught my attention. So we've got some what's called traditional neighborhood development that's taking off in Wichita, some of it even in the moorings, the south of Valley Center, that's looking at a much higher residential density than in the past and utilizing, it's a pretty cool concept, but it's utilizing less public space, less right of way. But one of the challenges we've looked at is fire access, in particular on what would truly be considered an alley width access, right? And I only mention that because we've worked with the developers there and the engineers to adapt to a few changes to make sure. City of Andover's done some of this already, and they've had to make some changes. In fact, we went to Andover and took some of our biggest fire trucks from Wichita to make sure, kind of see how things work. Is that something that's been? Yes.
So as part of the city staff review team, we do have our public safety department take a look at this. So police and fire. The alleyway width will be 26 feet. There will be no on-street parking. So that 26 feet will be maintained open at all times. There will be 2 fire hydrants placed in that alleyway area on that loop as well to help with fire protection. And then the buildings themselves will be at a minimum 10 feet apart. Again, hopefully we don't experience any fires with this new construction, but this has been vetted by our fire department, and they do feel comfortable with that width. The cul-de-sac as well as the medians to the south of that alleyway, those are all roll curbs, and so that was a question that they had as well, and making sure that with their larger equipment that they can still access that area and can do so, especially with a minimal height roll curb as well. But that has been vetted. We have looked at that. So the alleyway, so both the loop alleyway and the alleyway south of Hayes, those will each be 26 feet in width.
Gotcha.
With no parking on them either.
That helps. The no parking helps. I hadn't seen the
Yes.
I hadn't seen the 26 feet. Some of the developments in Wichita, they were actually proposing alley widths as narrow as 15 feet. So
yeah. So this
became
it
a
will
lot
be
bigger
26
issue.
feet.
So, good.
Yep.
No, that's good.
I have one quick question. What's the average square footage of these single-family residents?
So what you see here, these are
I know,
roof,
very
these are
preliminary,
rooftops. And
agreed.
so some of them will be duplexes, some of them will be garages.
Okay,
So they will all be, our understanding from Crane Company right now is that the footprint is going to be exactly the same. And again, these are slab on grade, so no
Right.
basements. These are
Right.
all going to be slab on grade. So the slab would be traditional poured concrete, and then the wall structures will be that 3D printed structure.
right.
Approximate square footage, I want to say it's around 1,500, Brent? Is that
Yeah, so 1,500.
somewhere
Yeah,
in that
someplace
range,
in there.
yes.
Okay, little 3-bedroom houses. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so again,
Okay.
they are, what you're seeing are either duplexes or garages, a mix within that area.
We're going to have quite an audience to watch some of those being made. aren't we?
Yeah.
We've heard from a lot of people, staff as well as residents that
I
want to
I
go
know
out
I'm going to
and
be one of
watch.
those people that are going
Yeah.
to be an audience.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
That's right.
Yep, no, definitely.
Okay,
It's
that
very
was my only
exciting.
question. But I certainly agree on the fire trucks, because generally when the fire trucks come, oftentimes there's an ambulance comes.
Right.
And there are,
Right.
and maybe 3 or 4 police vehicles and other responders. So that's our
Yes.
chairman is
So
asking a very
we've-
wise question.
Yes, no, I just definitely want to make sure that everyone does understand and allay any concerns. But yes, the fire department and police have had a chance,
Yeah,
were part of the
that's-
review.
Yeah, I heard the rest.
They are comfortable with the 26 feet, along with making sure that there is adequate hydrant access for
Yeah,
water as
The
well.
hydrant's a great idea.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, interesting. Very
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
So if we're looking at rooftops, we're looking at duplexes and garages, and they basically have the same footprint. So how many duplexes would share a garage, or is there a variety?
So our understanding, again, at this point, we haven't received any, of course, building permits or any type. We've seen some renderings, but again, those could change as we get closer to construction. Right now, the garages would have 4 bays. And so the way it's been explained to city staff is that either side, you'd have a garage, and then duplexes on either side will share a garage in between. But again, that configuration could change. This is just to give the board an idea of what this could look like at this point, understanding that they will have to adhere to adopted building setbacks, fire code, building code, et cetera.
Anybody else? Well, this is a cool deal. It's got a lot of people's attention. I've had
Yes.
council members in Wichita ask me questions about this, what I knew. So
Awesome. That's great.
It's exciting to see it happen.
Yes.
Yeah. So if there's no one else on the board right now, would the engineer like to speak on this? You're certainly welcome to.
Good evening. I'm Jake Boscia with SEH, design engineer for this prelim plat. Not sure what else you want me to cover, but I'll just kind of start talking. You can tell me when to stop. So the entrance roadway off of 4th Street is Wyburn. So it starts off 41 foot wide as we've got commercial in that area. And then as you see, as we kind of head south and that drainage swale kind of cuts through, we've got a box culvert there. So right after that box culvert, we narrow down to 32 foot wide. So the roadways in this area will be 32 foot wide, except for the 2 alleys that are 26. And that median at that kind of transition area and intersection is really one for decoration, landscaping, that sort of thing, but also it will act as somewhat of traffic calming as well. Was kind of the intent, as we have a really long section that's kind of straight. So we've got 32 foot wide road. It was a little bit difficult to make the utilities work to get over the box culvert that we have to cross with Wyburn Street. So we're taking our utilities from Ford down Wyburn. All these duplexes are slab on grade. So no basements makes it a little bit easier to make the sanitary work and get everything in the drain. But that was one area that we kind of had some difficulty with, but we went over with the engineer and staff and we are in good shape. As Ryan mentioned, the roundabout at that intersection of Harper Street, J Street, and the alleyway is a mini roundabout, which is a completely mountable roundabout, which means the splitter islands leading up to the roundabout and the roundabout center island is all mountable. So large trucks will just drive over everything that they need to, try not to off track off of the street itself. But majority of car traffic will follow the roundabout as normal. And then the alleyway is 26. That was my suggestion from experience myself. We've done very similar developments with duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, and fiveplexes in a very tight area, and fire codes are very important, and some of the most stringent codes we've had to adhere to with our layouts. So that was important to, excuse me, that was important to us initially to make sure that that was taken care of. So I appreciate your comment, Gary, because that's something that we absolutely had to look at initially. Your fire access lane is a minimum of 24 feet wide on your fire code. And honestly, 26 is a little bit better for cars backing out when you have garages that are facing each other. Let's see, we do have an existing retention pond to the south. They are going to keep that pond similar to the way it is now and probably dress it up a little bit with sidewalks and things like that around it. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'll stand for any other questions.
Are there any plans for anything larger than a duplex?
Not to my knowledge. So the printer can only print a certain size. And that's about the size of these footprints right here. Yep. And so the garages, as Ryan mentioned, there'd be a garage and then there'd be, it's called a carriage, where you've got a residential unit above the garages as well. And that really will help break up the monotony of single roof line all the way through this whole thing because it is fairly flat. So yeah, you've got duplex and then you've got carriage and you can kind of see the mix. It's not 50-50, but it's close. They do have to adhere to the zoning regulations as far as parking goes. So that was a big deal to make sure that we have adequate parking throughout this whole development for all the units.
Good, thank you. Any other questions? Appreciate that. Is there anybody from the public who'd like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none. 7:16 will close the public hearing. Any additional comments by the board? Questions? It's pretty cool. Thanks for being here to explain that. And Ryan, we appreciate what the city's done to pursue this. I think this is going to be really neat to see how this works out. So, okay, based on city staff recommendations, public comments, and discussions by the Planning and Zoning Board, I make a motion to approve SD 2022-02.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good, thank you. All right, next item. Review of SP 2022-04, application of Vcrc LLC pursuant to City Code 1712, who is petitioning to build 10 multifamily residential buildings on property located east of the intersection of McLaughlin and 6th Street. Ryan, you're up.
All right, another very exciting multifamily project happening here in town. This property, as noted on the map, is located immediately to the south of McLaughlin Park, and the applicant, Vcrc, is proposing to build 10 residential fourplex buildings. You have attached to the staff report the civil engineering plans, as well as renderings of what the some facade renderings as well. That's what's shown on the screen at this time. These are, again, a rendering of what they are at this point. We're still working with them, with the developer, on a color scheme and final design. But again, these will be located to the east of McLaughlin Drive. You see the parking area as well as the layout in the site plans. There are a few different building types. They'll vary between each unit will vary between 2 to 3 bedrooms, but overall it will fit harmoniously in the lot. And I do have to applaud the engineer and the architect. I had my doubts if they would be able to do this on this lot, but they have been able to meet all of our existing zoning code for R3 zone properties in terms of building setbacks and meeting fire code. And so again, very excited to see this project move forward. This will include a sewer line extension across McLaughlin. The construction documents for both the public and private utility improvements have been reviewed by the city staff review team, and the city staff review team is recommending approval of this. This will create just one new 24-foot wide driveway that will connect to McLaughlin. There is a designated parking area for each of the buildings, and as well as proposed landscaping. There will be exterior lighting, and what was great with this one is they provided a very good photometric chart that shows that light will not spill over into adjacent residential properties. And again, there will also be one, just going through this, there will be one central, will be appropriately screened. It will be located to the north of the driveway. And like I said, been reviewed by the city staff review team. In terms of going back to fire, when the fire department did review this, they wanted to make sure that they had adequate an adequate turning radius in the back, again, for their larger equipment. And so that requirement has been met. So the fire department's very comfortable with this. Again, hopefully they would never experience a fire. But if one were to happen, that they would have adequate in order to get the larger equipment in to address any type of fire or emergency. Is recommending approval of this site plan application. With us this evening, we do have Ryan Nett, who's representing Vcrc, and Don Folger and Kurt Harris, that are the architect and engineer on the project. So would invite them, if they wish to do so, to speak during the public hearing. Questions?
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
I'm going to take a moment and step aside from this item for a second. I meant to recognize City Councilman Ron Colbert before. Thank you for being here tonight. I wanted to do that before I forgot again. So sorry. Thank you for letting me do that. We always appreciate having City Council members.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Any questions of Ryan? Well, if not, at 7:21, we'll open the public hearing. Would the agent or developer like to speak on this item?
I'm Don Folger, the architect, and we really don't have anything to add to what's been submitted. It was tough to get this to fit on the site, but we've met all the requirements. So if you have any questions of us, we're open to questions.
You might ask, and Don, I don't know that you can necessarily address this, but I'll ask in case what the market's showing right now, what the demand is. I assume it's pretty high. This type of housing right now, or
Right.
is that, if you wouldn't mind, I think that'd be good for us to hear.
There's an extraordinarily high demand for this product. I've been building duplexes mostly, but rental properties, entry level rental properties for 12 years. And I've been absolutely full since 2016. As soon as something comes up, it's full. Like yesterday, somebody's moved out, somebody's moving in today. This product, this range, 3-bedroom is very popular, 2-bedroom as well. We did the 2 bedrooms downstairs to maybe accommodate not as large of a family or retired couple, or you see all the duplex development going on everywhere. And as far as I know, all my associates, business partners, and nobody has any empty units. They fill up before we're done. I expect this will be the same, especially with Amazon going in. But
Sure. I kind of figured so. That's good to hear.
Yep.
There's some 2-story new places being built east of Dollar General. And I guess it seems like they're on a track to take quite a long time to get those built. So hopefully yours goes a little bit faster than that.
it is slower these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've found I've had to hire multiple, whereas in the past I would have one subcontractor to do, a project. I have to hire 2 or 3.
And no offense to the builders there. That's kind of why I mentioned. I know it's a little bit different market these days. So, well, good. Big questions, comments?
I got a couple questions. So what's the average square footage of a 3-bed? Is it 1 bath or 2?
It is 3-bed, 2-bath. Most of the units are 3-bedroom, 2-bath. There are Parkside. The lower units on the Parkside are 2-bedroom.
About how many square feet?
close to 1,100. They all have laundry hookups in every unit. 2-bedroom units have walk-in closets and a larger laundry area.
So you got 10 fourplexes, right? You got 40 units. What if filled up, how many people you think would be living there?
Typically, on my 3-bedroom, 2-bath duplex units, most often it is married couple and a child. Usually, I'll be totally speculating to
100,
guess that.
110 people, give or take.
Any other questions?
I have one. On the exterior materials for your siding, what is, obviously you've got some concept of what you're going to use. Can you share that with us in terms of what the external siding is going to be?
Yeah, I want to do multiple different facades or changes in architecture styles. Board and batten, some lap, some cedar shake look. Most of it will probably be LP smart siding for the product. And then on each building where it changes architectural style would probably have a different color to kind of accent that piece. Nothing radical, but 2 or 3 different colors maybe on each building.
And the product,
Yep.
we're talking about like a T111 material or something similar to that?
Yeah. Well, it's a compressed fiber board OSB style wood shavings compressed very tightly. It's a phenomenal product. The LP Smart Siding lasts a very long time and is hail resistant.
Along the baseline of the foundation, are you going to do any treatment there or is the siding just going to go straight down to the drip edge?
I always have usually a 8 to 12 inch barrier from dirt to siding with concrete foundation.
Okay, they're just going to basically run the siding down to the edge and that's it. There's not going to be any additional trim along the baseline.
Like on the board and batten, you typically don't have anything on
Right.
the bottom.
No, I know board and
because it'll
batten,
catch
but
water
yeah.
and rot out.
But you were suggesting that there was going to be some variation in some lap siding and but basically you're bringing the material down to within 8 to 10 inches of there's no other brick treatment or anything else.
No, probably not. None of this nailed down for sure. I don't expect I would probably have masonry.
Okay, just trying to understand.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, Ryan. Anybody else from the public who'd like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none. Close the public hearing at 7:28. Return discussion to the board. Any additional comments, questions? Okay, if not, based on city staff recommendations, public comments and discussion by the Planning and Zoning Board, I make a motion to approve SP 2022-04.
Second.
Do I have a motion and a second? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chair, I'm going to have to abstain from the vote.
Okay, one abstention. Rick lives across the street. Perfect. Thank you. Good luck. Good project. Exciting to see it happen. Okay, any older unfinished business, Ryan? New business? No staff reports?
The only item is just to remind everyone of our next meeting, which will be August 23rd, 7 p.m. here. Excuse me, again, we'll review the final plat for Sunflower Valley and then the corresponding zoning application.
Good, thank you. Any items by board members? Nothing? All right, I move we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.